In this tutorial, we are going to make what's called a double hung window. We're going to build an outer frame on it, and then we're going to build two sashes, one for one lower, one upper, and they'll be offset from each other, so the windows would theoretically move independent of each other. So I'm going to come here to Max, do my render setup, make sure I'm set to have a renderer that is scanline renderer, close that, customize, unit setup, system unit setup, 1 unit to 1 centimeter, okay. Alright, so I'm going to make my perspective active. I'm going to come here to create, click on box, and under keyboard entry, I'm going to go for a length of 100, width of 200, and a height of 200, and click create. I'm just going to right click to make this active and then hit Z to zoom out. Alright, so this box is a little bit more than we want, so I'm going to come here to modify. I believe I'm going to change my length here. I'm actually going to go ahead and change this to 25. And I'm going to change the width to 100. And I'm going to keep that height of 200. If I click a negative space and just hit Z in my different views, we'll see it better. Now let's change the color of this because the wireframe is very dark. It's hard to see. So if I click here, just make this a lighter color. Now the wireframe's easier to see. Alright, let's click on default shading and turn on edged faces. So here we go. We're in modify. We have a length of 25, a width of 100, a height of 200. I'm just going to right click on the model now, convert that at poly. Go to Polygon, click on that one polygon on the front and say edit, select invert, and we're going to delete using our keyboard. Alright, so first things first with our model here is we are going to select this polygon in the center, and we're just going to do a little inset on it to kind of bring it in. Let's bring that in, let's say about 3 units. Let's do 5. Click OK. And then we're going to do an extrude, but this extrude we want to make negative to bring it in, and we'll bring this in -5 as well. Alright, so now we kind of have our outer frame. Next, we want to break it up. Now that we have the outer frame, we want to break it up into 2 different sashes is what we call them. So I'm going to click on one of these vertical edges here. You could also, because we know that our model, if I click here and orbit around, alright, let's go to display. So I'm in modify, I want to go over to display, which is the TV icon, collapse by rollouts until I find display properties. I'm going to turn on backface cull. Now if I go back to modify, at this point if I orbit around, you could see there's my model. There's nothing on the back side. If I go into edge, click on one of these vertical edges, and click ring. Now it is true I could click a negative space and drag. It's good for you to get into the habit though of using the ring selection, because that way you may not have as simple a model in the future, and you might want to grab an entire ring but not get other things that are in the back that you may accidentally select. So this is a good habit to get into, just clicking on an edge and then finding under selection the ring selection button. Now grab all those rings. Alright, I'm going to come to edit edges, and again remember you may need to reorganize or just collapse rollouts until you find some of these rollouts here. I'm going to open, connect, and I'm just going to go with the default of 1 because I really just want to have one extra section here. So let's select this guy. This is our bottom window and bottom sash. I'm going to go back into edit polygons, and I'm going to click on the settings for extrude. I'm going to extrude that back in 5 more. And let's take that, yeah, we'll just say 5. Click OK. Why don't I click on the drop down arrow for edit poly so you can see that'll help you see those selections better as I switch between them. Alright, so I'm going to hold control and click on the window above. Now I'm going to orbit around so you can see I only have just those 2 planes selected, and on those I'm going to open up my inset again. I'm going to inset these 3 units. I'm just going to inset them in a little bit and click OK. All right, let's extrude those in a little bit. We'll just do a -3 this time. Click OK. And now, in addition to doing an extrude, let's do a slight outline so that they angle in a little bit. And the default of that is a 1. I think that's enough. That's going to be perfect for what we want. So now we're getting these nice, starting to get little angled. The light's going to catch it a little bit differently and nicer. Let's go to Edge. I'm going to click on just this one edge in the center here and grab the ring. And then under Edit Edges, I'm just going to click the Connect button because I connected it. I've been connecting it only once. That's the default. And if you like the default, you can keep connecting with that. So under Selection, you hit Ring. I'm going to hit Connect that once. Select this edge, ring, and connect it one more time. All right. Now let's go to Polygon. Now I'm on Select, so I can go through and just region select and hold Control. And an alternate way to do that is to go to Vertex, select the 1 point in the center of each of these holding the Control button. Then also holding Control, click on Polygon, and that'll whatever you've had selected before, like that one vert. If you hold Control and click on the Selection button, that selects the polygons associated with it. So I got those polygons for the windows we wanted. All right, let's take these with those 8 polygons selected. We're going to go into Inset, but we're going to change our Inset to click on the arrow. We can switch it by polygon. And let's change the amount to a 1.5. So it's just a subtle. There we go. And then with those same 8 polygons selected, we're going to click Extrude again. And we're just going to extrude these in, -1.5. And click OK. So we're just extruding them in a little bit. And then we'll just click the outline again and hit OK. All right, so now we've got those windows in. I'm going to go ahead and hit Delete on my keyboard to get rid of those windows. If I orbit around, you could see, this window that we have. It's got this really nice shape and form to it. So I'm going to come here to Create. So now I'm no longer in any kind of sub-object. I'm going to right-click on my model and say Clone as a copy and say OK. I'm going to come up here to the top to rotate, and then I'm going to come over to my Angle Snap. All right, Angle Snap. It's the one next to the 3. That's the one I want, Angle Snap. And I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees. Right, so it's facing the opposite direction. And I'm going to zoom out here in the front and rotate it. If I right-click, rotate that 180 degrees. And now if I switch over to Move, I can move this, and I'm going to click over here on the little General tab and click Maximize Viewport. I'm also going to turn off my grid. I'm going to zoom in here because I want to move this so that these are really close together. And I'm just going to keep moving in. I'm going to try and move so that those points down there where those two meet are pretty much on top of each other. Now another way for us to check that is we made our model 200 units high, so I could probably come here to a Z and change that to 200, and that'll be the right height. And then all I need to do is just drag it along the side here to kind of get them close. And that's as close as it needs to be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to click on the little plus sign to restore the viewports, and I'm going to click on my main window. I'm going to come to Modify, and now I want to find Edit Geometry, and I'm going to click on Attach. If Attach doesn't work, that means that your model is not unique, and you'll know that if you're not in a sub-object, and this guy's on, you can click on that to make sure the model's unique. All right, so let's click Attach, and we'll just click on the other model. There we go. And now I can come in here, and if I click on Attach to turn that off, I can go into Border, and I can click on the border for the first window and hold Control and click on the border for the second, and I should be able to just click Bridge to build all the geometry between the two going all the way around. Now, the last thing we got to do is just weld our windows together. So I'm going to hold, I have border selected. I'm going to region select, and that's going to grab all those borders where the windows are really close together. So again, here under selection with those borders selected, I'm going to hold Control and click Vertex. So now I have all those vertex points selected. You can see it says that I have 64 vertices selected. I'm going to open up Weld, the dialog next to it. And you can see that already with the default of a weld threshold of 0.1 unit, it goes from 286 vertices total to 254. I can increase that, but you gotta be careful how much you increase it because the model may start, you see how points are starting to weld together here, so you want to avoid that. I'm just going to click OK on the default and see what it gets me. The way to check that is just to go back to border, click in negative space and drag, and you see now nothing is selected, so that means that window is okay. Now the last thing I'm going to do is go down to Element, click on my window, and I'm going to find the rollout for Polygon smoothing groups, and I'm going to click Auto Smooth, and that'll go through and smooth out the window. If I click over here now, and if we hit F4 to turn off edge faces, we can orbit around our window, and we see what a nice double hung window we've constructed here, right? It's got nice angles that are catching the light. So once we're complete, we'll just go hit our Windows key, type in snip, go into the snipping tool, and we'll just get an image of that, and we'll just save that along with our max file using the appropriate naming convention, last name, first initial, window. So, thank you.